It started like one of those moments you might scroll past on social media, the kind you smile at briefly before getting lost in the next post. A young man, barely out of high school, spots a stranded driver on the side of the road. The vehicle is sleek, jet black, the kind that suggests both wealth and privacy. The hood is slightly raised, the driver crouched beside a stubborn flat tire. Most people would drive past. After all, in a city where everyone seems in a hurry, stopping for a stranger is a luxury few are willing to afford. But this boy, let's call him Malik, slowed down, pulled over, and offered help without a second thought. He had no idea that in the next 48 hours, he'd go from Good Samaritan to an unwitting player in a high-stakes game involving secrets powerful enough to change lives and shatter reputations. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. It wasn't until Malik got closer that the man's face came into focus. He blinked twice, trying to reconcile the image with the dozens of movie posters he'd seen growing up. This wasn't just any stranded driver. It was Denzel Washington, the Academy Award-winning actor known for intense performances, sharp charisma, and a level of mystique that kept fans intrigued for decades. For a moment, Malik froze. Should he say something? Ask for a picture? But Denzel, with that trademark calm smile, simply said, "Flat tire. I could use an extra hand." And just like that, the ice was broken. No Hollywood ego, no entourage, just a man with a problem and another man with the willingness to solve it. As Malik got to work loosening the stubborn lug nuts, Denzel kept watch, occasionally glancing down the road as if expecting someone, or something. The conversation was light at first, touching on Malik's day, his plans for the future, and Denzel's gratitude for the help. But then, as Malik crouched low to remove the flat, Denzel leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. In one smooth motion, he pressed a small object into Malik's palm, a USB drive, no larger than a car key. "Hide this for me," he murmured, his eyes scanning the street like a man who knew danger could arrive at any second. Malik looked down at the drive, confused, then back at Denzel, whose expression made it clear. This was not a game. The tire was replaced, a quick handshake exchanged, and Denzel drove off with a brief nod. Malik stood there on the sidewalk, the USB still warm from Denzel's hand, his mind racing. Why him? Why not call a friend or an assistant? What could possibly be on that drive that needed hiding? As he drove home, the questions grew heavier. He thought about tossing it, about pretending the encounter never happened. But something told him that whatever he had stumbled into was far bigger than he could yet imagine. That night, Malik barely slept. The small drive sat in his desk drawer, its presence practically humming in the quiet of his room. His thoughts swung between excitement. He was holding something Denzel Washington himself had trusted him with, and unease. If it was important enough to hide, it was important enough for someone to come looking for. By morning, he convinced himself he was overthinking. Maybe it was just some personal photos or an unfinished script. Hollywood people were quirky, right? Then came the black SUV. It pulled up to Malik's house just after noon, its tinted windows offering no glimpse of the passengers inside. The engine idled for a long moment before the back door swung open. Two men stepped out, both dressed in sharp black suits that didn't quite match the neighborhood's casual vibe. They approached the front porch with deliberate steps, the kind that say they know exactly who they've come for. Malik's stomach dropped. This wasn't a delivery, and it wasn't a friendly visit. The taller of the two spoke first, his tone calm but laced with authority. "We're here for something Mr. Washington left with you. No small talk, no explanation. Just a demand." Malik played dumb, shrugging as if he had no idea what they were talking about. But the shorter man, with a face that looked like it hadn't smiled in a decade, stepped forward and lowered his voice. "That drive contains information that could destroy careers and topple powerful people. If you value your safety and your family's, you'll hand it over. Right now." Malik's heart pounded in his chest. The gravity in the man's voice was chilling, as if he were discussing the weather rather than issuing a life-altering threat. Images flashed in Malik's mind. His mom coming home from work, his younger sister playing in the yard. If these men were willing to show up here, in broad daylight, who knew what they might do in the shadows? Still, something inside him resisted. Denzel had chosen him for a reason, hadn't he? Maybe handing it over wasn't the right move. But could he really stand up to whatever world these men came from? When Malik didn't answer immediately, the taller man sighed and glanced at his partner. "Let's give him until sundown," he said, turning back toward the SUV. "After that, we won't be asking nicely." The words hung in the air long after the SUV disappeared down the street. Malik shut the door, locked it, and leaned against the frame, trying to steady his breathing. He had until sunset to decide. Protect himself or protect the trust Denzel had placed in him. As the day wore on, Malik couldn't shake the thought that maybe he should just call Denzel and hand the whole thing back. But he had no way to contact him, no proof the actor would even answer. For all he knew, Denzel had vanished into whatever dangerous orbit this USB belonged to. On impulse, Malik plugged the drive into his laptop. What appeared on the screen made his pulse spike. A series of encrypted files, each labeled with innocuous names like meeting notes and invoices, but all locked behind heavy password protection. One folder stood out, "Do not open." Malik stared at it, his finger hovering over the mouse. Curiosity battled fear in a silent war. He didn't open it, not yet. Instead, he called his cousin Aaron, a self-taught tech whiz who had a knack for breaking into anything digital. Aaron showed up within the hour, his eyes lighting up at the challenge. "Who gave you this?" he asked, grinning. Malik hesitated, finally admitting, "Denzel Washington." Aaron blinked. "Like Training Day Denzel? Man on Fire Denzel." When Malik nodded, Aaron's grin widened. "Okay, now I have to know what's in here." As Aaron worked, Malik's mind wandered to all the possible scenarios. Was this about Hollywood politics? Government secrets? Something even darker? The clock on the wall ticked toward sunset, each passing minute tightening the knot in his stomach. Finally, Aaron leaned back. "I can get in. But once I do, there's no going back. Whoever's looking for this will know someone accessed it." Malik's mouth went dry. If they already knew where he lived, what else did they know? When the files finally opened, the contents were nothing short of explosive. There were scanned documents implicating several high-profile figures in covert deals, blackmail exchanges, and untraceable financial transfers. There were videos, grainy but unmistakable, showing private meetings in secure locations. And in the center of it all, a trail leading back to a single, powerful organization that operated far beyond Hollywood. Malik felt the weight of it like a physical force. This wasn't just celebrity gossip. This was the kind of truth people vanished for. A car horn outside made Malik jump. Peeking through the blinds, he saw the black SUV parked across the street. They were back, and they weren't waiting for sunset this time. His mind raced. Should he stash the drive somewhere they'd never find? Should he run? Or should he trust that if Denzel had gotten this far, he had a plan? Before Malik could decide, his phone buzzed with a blocked number. He answered, his voice shaky. "Malik, it's Denzel," came the calm, steady tone. "I need you to listen carefully. Whatever happens, don't give them the drive. I'm on my way." And just like that, Malik realized this wasn't over. In fact, it had only just begun. The question was, could he make it through the night without losing everything? If you were Malik, would you risk your safety to protect the truth, or hand it over and hope the danger passed you by? Because sometimes the biggest moments in our lives arrive not with a warning, but with a flat tire on the side of the road. And what you do next could define you forever.